In a normal week on average, I'm using a Lyft or Uber every other day, if not every day.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think because my company partners with Lyft, my default is to go to Lyft if it has anything to do with work. Otherwise, it's just a price game for me,
Yeah.
where if it's my personal wallet, then I'm typically just weighing them against each other. I think I prefer not to send a message. I prefer to just ride like anyone else, meet my
Hmm.
driver where the pin is dropped at and find the car by either I can hear him because it's open enough space,
Hmm.
or if I'm in like busy New York City streets and there's zero chance of finding them, I'll just ask whomever's around me, like, oh, is
Yeah.
that a black Toyota? Whatever. And then I typically approach the car. I say, who are you picking up? Instead of, are you picking up Kathryn?
Hmm.
My intentionality in that is safety. Like
Yeah.
if I say, am I picking up Kathryn and they say, yeah, of course. And I get in the car, who knows, you know? So
Yeah.
I say, who are you picking up? And then match it that way. When I do send a message, it's typically when I'm in an environment where quite frankly, I don't want to be embarrassed. So I'll
Hmm.
message the driver and say, I'm blind and I have a guide dog and I'm standing at this intersection, see you in a minute. My two reasons I'm doing that. One is if they're going to reject me because of the service dog, please do it before you show up in
Yeah.
front of people I work with.
Hmm.
Or alternatively, it's just a smoother pickup, right? Like
Got
I'm
it.
telling you exactly where I am. I hear you're slowing down. You're putting down the window. You're saying my name. I'm getting in the car. I think those are kind of my ways of doing it. I think letting the driver know there's a service dog helps solely just kind of minimize the risk here. On average, am I getting rejected for having my service dog? Minimally, but when it happens, like when it rains, it pours, it
Mm.
makes me so frustrated.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I try to minimize that happening at all, whether it's calling the driver or sending a message.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the most challenging parts for drivers is actually the pickup and the drop off, finding the passenger, especially like you mentioned New York City, right? Like with all the one-way streets, the traffic, and then of
Totally.
course the drop off, right? When, you got to find a safe and legal place to pull over. So I imagine that there's some benefit to letting them know ahead of time just for sort of ease of finding each other, right? Like, so,
Hmm.
how many black Toyota Camry Uber drivers are there in New York City? I think quite a few.
Exactly.
So I think that's one. Do you get canceled on a lot? I mean, like, what's your sort of actual experience been like, when you let them know or, when you're actually calling a ride?
So I've been a guide dog user now for 10 years.
Hmm.
And no, is the short answer. I do not get canceled on a lot. I've
Yeah.
been canceled on definitely, I would say 20 times, maybe.
Hmm.
That might be even highballing it. But I'll tell you the times, which obviously maximizes the impact, the times I've been canceled are the times where it's like, I am going to miss my flight
Yeah.
or I feel unsafe because I'm late for an event and you're driving away with one leg in the car. So I think
Hmm.
to me, the times that it's happened, it almost seems like it's catastrophic. It's like the worst day ever.
Yeah.
Because what typically happens is what there is not a cancel before seeing my dog. It
Hmm.
is they'll pull up, they'll see my dog. They'll either say, no, I won't take your dog and like put the window up slowly while I'm engaging with them, or I'll open the
Hmm.
door and be getting in the car and then they'll start driving away,
Hmm.
which, as we all know, is wildly unsafe. But at the
Wow.
same
So a
time, it's
driver's
also like
actually driven away while you were trying to get into the car.
that's happened
That's
to me twice.
crazy.
So my
Wow.
dog wasn't in the car, I was in the car, and they start driving away. And I'm like, all right, at this point, I'm just getting out and
Yeah.
rebooking. But also, another time has happened in DC where they drive up, they say they're not going to take my dog, and it's my best friend and I at the time were traveling, and she's allergic to dogs, hence why we didn't go in her car. And I
Hmm.
bring this up because it's interesting. We didn't go in her car because she's just wildly allergic.
Yeah.
So we book a Lyft, they're driving away. And then I book another one and they also drove away. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, this is just not my day.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that suck just because, of course, if I could get in a car and go from point A to point B with me in the driver's seat, I would. But I
Yeah.
can't. And my dog, I'm not biased or anything, but is the most well behaved. He doesn't
Yeah.
even lick a human being. Like he literally just sits on the floor with his head on the ground and waits patiently for us to get to the location. Like he's never made a noise in his life, so he's so well behaved where it kills me that I wish I could have the 1 minute to talk to the driver and say, look, this dog is harmless. I
Hmm.
understand if you're scared. I understand whatever, factors may be at play here. I just want to get to my location.